trust that you have what you need and that it is your life to live, and go for it. I mean, it is one life. It is one life. And it is the thing that drives me every day. What if this was your last day? What if you only had 5 more hours? What if you only had 5 more days? What would you do?
Welcome to A Beautiful Fix. I'm Tracy Hill. Each week we'll dive into the latest thought gem, recharging and reconnecting with what lights you up and makes you feel alive. Let's discover your next beautiful fix together. Hey, real quick before we dive in, you're powerful. And sometimes you just need someone to remind you what's already in you. That's what human design does. It's the difference between guessing and knowing. So you can stop searching outside yourself and start trusting the answers within. I promise you they're there. Grab your free chart at abeautifulfix.com, and when you're ready to go deeper, book a one-to-one session with me. All right, let's get into the episode. Today's guest is Kim Waller, transformation strategist, executive advisor, and founder of Meridian Path Consulting Group. For more than 3 decades, Kim has helped organizations navigate change, leadership, culture, and transformation. She's held senior leadership roles at Korn Ferry, Willis Towers Watson, and Aon, helping organizations unlock performance by creating environments where people can thrive. But beyond her professional accomplishments, Kim has spent years exploring a different kind of transformation, the transformation that happens within us. Through self-study, yoga, intentional living, and a commitment to personal growth, she's created a life that extends far beyond her professional identity. Today we're talking about what it means to own your power, align with your purpose, create balance in a world that constantly demands more, and build a life that nourishes you both personally and professionally. Kim and I also know each other outside the podcast. In fact, I co-hosted my very first retreat at Kim's beautiful lake home, affectionately known as the House of Healing, which makes this conversation especially meaningful for me. Kim, welcome to A Beautiful Fix.
Thank you, Tracy. I am so excited to see you and to be here and to catch up. There's lots for us to talk about. So again, it's a great day.
There is. I'm so excited. So for everyone listening, I just love Kim, and it's been way too long. It's been over a year, which is kind of insane. And you have been on my mind. And I thought I want to catch up with you, but I want to do it on the podcast. So I just think your story, since I met you, my cousin Sheila is really good friends with Kim, and she's been talking about you, Kim, to me forever, way before I met you. We both actually worked at the Aon Center together. You worked for Aon, but I worked for JLL, which is its corporate headquarters, are located in Aon Center. So Sheila kept saying, you have to meet my girlfriend, Kim. You have to. And we didn't meet then, but since I have known you, I'm like, your story is one that needs to be told, because as someone who burned out of her career, me, I didn't handle it right. Looking back, I see I could have made different choices. And from the moment that I saw you performing at the level that you were performing consistently, and saw that you had this beautiful life outside of all of that, I thought there's something to that. And that's what I wanted to really share with people today. So before we dive, though, into yoga and the House of Healing and retirement and everything else, just give everyone a little context for the people that don't know you. Just tell us a little bit about your career journey and the work you've spent the last 3 decades or so doing.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And yes, as of last week, I retired from Korn Ferry, which was,
Congratulations.
thank you. As I look back, I'm like, what a phenomenal journey it has been. And the leader that I am today is very different than the leader I was when I first started my journey in corporate America. I've done everything. I started with the Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics. I was an economist. My undergrad degree was in economics. And then back in the day, I was told, if you want to be a mover and shaker, you need to move into the private sector. And so I was like, oh, I got to do that. I got to do that really quickly. And then moved and had a short career with the Hartford Insurance Company, where back in the day they had training programs where they sat you down for 9 to 12 months and taught you the business, right? What a luxury. As
Wait,
you think
did you
about
say 9 to 12 months?
9 to 12 months in a
Wow.
classroom, right? And so that served as giving me a really strong foundation. I then, through a series of, and too long to talk about, but then moved to Aon and really grew up at Aon. Spent 23 years at Aon and had multiple roles. You would think 23 years, well, didn't she get bored? But no, because every 2 to 3 years I would get promoted. My boss, who actually was a sponsor and mentor, would say, I think she's ready. I think she's ready. So before I even had to ask, there was another promotion coming. There was another promotion coming. And at the time, Aon was in massive acquisition mode. So the company that I started with was really not the company that I ended with, because again, it had explosive growth. I moved up through the ranks to become a managing director at Aon, and then an opportunity came, and I said, I think I need to, right? Because we always continue to evolve, whether we're in role or whether it's within our role within an organization, and or as we think holistically around what do we really want, and how can we acquire additional knowledge to get there. So at that point, at the point of becoming a managing director, I decided I think I need some more education. I had already had the privilege of being a part of many of their high potential, high growth, accelerated leadership programs within the company. I said, I think I need some independent knowledge. So I went back to grad school at Northwestern and got a degree in learning and organizational change. And that then served as my own personal inquiry. And then I moved on from Aon to Willis Towers Watson. I was there for 7 years, and then into my career at Korn Ferry over the last 5 years, which again put me in rooms and spaces with leaders to help them think about what does transformation look like, what does inclusion look like, what does it mean to create cultures that drive really transformative change within your organization. I had the opportunity to do that, culminating it all at Korn Ferry. And now I'm thrilled to be in this new phase where, and I don't know if we're going to go there, where now I can think about and put together my own practice from a yoga perspective, as well as mindfulness, as well as my corporate background.
We're going there. Oh, we're going there, Kim.
Okay.
On my notes, I'm just setting them to the side. There's so much that you said. Your story, there was so much in there. Just the fact that, first of all, you had the old school version of where companies really invested in their employees and trained like that. That is phenomenal. But you also mentioned that every 2 or so years, someone was saying, hey, Kim, you are ready for this next thing. To have that kind of mentorship, people looking out for you, is amazing. How much of that, though, I have to believe you had some great people working with you, seeing you, believing in you, and pulling you. But that also tells me so much about you, Kim, that these people were, people in corporate America, they don't do that just out of the goodness of their heart. They see something in you. They see high value talent. They know that there's a gift there, and then that's when they kind of step in. What is it about you? Were you always this way? Did you walk in with that kind of confidence? What were you doing to get people to notice you in that way?
So, it was less around, and certainly early on, this notion of being noticed. It was more around, how do I contribute and add value? How do I bring my best self to whatever the role is? And how do I make the people that I report to and the teams that I am with better, right? How do I contribute to whatever we're doing and make it all better, to the extent that I can, given my own individual talents, etc. So it was really more around really being laser focused around purpose and delivering impact and doing it in a way that allows everybody to be their best selves. And I did that as an individual contributor, and then it became really important to me to foster that type of focus as a leader.
And Kim, how was your career for you? Like, We're listening to everything that you accomplished. Amazing. But what was it like for Kim going through that? Did it fill you up? Were you loving it throughout? Was it stressful? Like, tell us a little bit about how it was for you behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny. As I just heard myself give you my little snapshot, I'm like, well, that's nice and tidy. That's not, that's not real. That's not real. That's not
Okay.
real. I mean, because I'll tell you, there were certain inflection points where understanding who I am was really important, right? I come from a family where my father always said to me, know what to value. Know what to value and know your value. Know your value, know what to value. Period, end of story. And so, and then unconditional, unwavering love from my mother as well, and my family system. So irrespective of what room I was in, I was like, know what to value, know your value. Period, end of story. And so when there were bumps in the road, and there were bumps. So for example, when I went to the Hartford, I was told that at the end of the training program, you would get to go to one of your top three choices. And coming out of Chicago, my top three choices were Chicago, I think Atlanta, and DC. So how did I get to Grand Rapids, Michigan? Huh?
Tell us, Kim, how did you get there?
Get there. Um, Crying, right? Crying, because I had never been to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And for those of you that are listening to the podcasts that are from Grand Rapids, Michigan, it's a lovely place. But I was 25 years old. And no, no, I'm a Black female. No, I didn't want that. But there was a manager in Grand Rapids. They were the presidential award winning office. They got their top choice out of the new training programs. There happened to be a marketing manager that knew I was coming out. She saw my profile. She wanted me, and I'm going on to Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it had nothing to do with my top three choices. It had everything to do with what the corporation wanted and needed and its leadership. So that was a big lesson for me. And I ended up staying for 9 months, and I came back to Chicago every weekend. And then ultimately got a call from a recruiter and said that there's a company that wants to talk to you. And I said, okay. I didn't even care who it was. I said, where are they located? And they said, Chicago. And I said, okay, perfect. And unbeknownst to me, it was Aon. And it was Aon at the time that it was in this early stages. And again, I grew up there, and it was an amazing career there.
So how was Grand Rapids, Michigan? Once you got there and you settled in, how was that for you?
The people were amazing. But again, I was single. And people had station wagons and were taking their kids to
Yes.
Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and Little League. And I didn't find two things. I didn't find, nor did I really search out my posse, my group, right, that would keep me there. And so I'm like, I'll work Monday through Friday, and then I'll go back to Chicago on the weekends. I didn't even change my church. I continued to go to the same church. I didn't do anything. I was like, I'm just going to work here Monday through Friday, and then I'm going back to Chicago.
Kim, we're not going to gloss over something that you casually threw out. Are you saying that you were the top pick out of that class?
I was one of the top. There was like top three picks coming out of the class.
It's just a story of exceptionalism. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to just blow. It's just, and I've always heard the way you do one thing is how you do everything. And when I think of you, and just a little bit that I know about you, I see that throughout. One thing I did want to touch on, you mentioned inclusion. So I wanted to just get your thoughts on this. So inclusion, just the word inclusion sounds amazing. Like, why wouldn't anyone want inclusion? But it has been weaponized, which blows my mind still to this day. I mean, I don't even like to get into politics, but I want us to just look at this from the concept of inclusion, including everyone, making everyone feel included. What are your thoughts on this? How has it been for you these last few years?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I do think it's a moment in time. I don't think I don't think it is forever in terms of the weaponization of it. I think I firmly believe in high performing, top performing teams. Period, end of story. I firmly believe in giving opportunity for everyone to be their best selves. Again, it's just a core value for me. And I do believe that if you bring the best of all together, you can drive performance and create magic if you have everyone performing at their highest level. I think that there's this misnomer that inclusion somehow means that you're bringing in people that aren't qualified and that you're going to the lowest common denominator. And I would counter that to say, no, it's just the opposite. It is opening up the door, the pathways for all talent to be able to compete and to thrive, and you bring the best to the table, and that's it. I mean, there were times as a leader throughout my career where I looked around and I was like, you know what? This team doesn't have the same level of diversity that it needs. It was too female, right? It didn't have enough white males. It didn't have enough, right? So difference is difference.
Yes.
And high performing people that come from those perspectives. No one, I mean, I also love sports. I love sports, right? What sports team says, I'm going to go out and pick the lowest performing player to come on my team, and then I want to win? That's not how it works. And so the same thing holds true, I would say. But I think there's all kinds of other noise in the system, and this notion that it is a fair playing field. You know, we could debate that. That would be a whole nother podcast. But I think that it's really critical that you give everyone an opportunity to thrive, and may the best person, the best talent get to the table and build that team to drive outcomes.
Well, I hope you are right that it is temporary, because I just have always believed in diversity in any aspect. I was in Chicago the other day, and I was just looking around. I was like, this is why I love this city. I was standing on Michigan Avenue, and I just looked around, and everybody was there, all ages. You can see, what looked like wealth, what looked like maybe, there were homeless people, all different colors, shades. People walking by me were speaking all different kinds of languages. And I just took it in. It was absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't have it any other way. So I do hope it's temporary, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is also, I think that high performing organizations are doing it. When we think about the NASA exploration, right? Just recently, look who those astronauts were. Look what they did, right? And again, they were bringing the best of the best to that particular launch, and they achieved their mission. So high performing organizations are doing it. I just think that there's this chitter chatter out there that's distracting. And I think top organizations and top individuals, their work is to filter out the noise and stay on point.
Well, so Kim, when most people look at your resume or your LinkedIn page, they see, someone who spent decades succeeding at the highest levels of corporate America. But what they don't see is the other side of your life, which I would love to kind of dig into a little bit: the yoga, the healing, the lake house, the personal growth work. I'm just curious, when did you first realize your career couldn't be the only thing that defined you?
Once I got past like my first, actually it was that, the first place where there was disruption and friction and disappointment. It's like, okay, how do you navigate through this? Because I would say, if you looked at my resume, you would say, oh, look at that linear path of success. But that's not what it was, right? It's not. There were bumps, there were failures, I would say, if anything, I mark myself as being resilient and gritty. That I am scrappy, that irrespective of what happens, if there's a disappointment, I'm going to get back up. And part of that skill set has been born through my practice, my faith, and my yoga practice, and being able to stay present, being able to understand that there's something beyond me, being able to understand that there's a power within that allows me to move past whatever the present obstacle is, to stay focused on what my purpose and why is, and to continue to move forward. I think sometimes we get tripped up and we think that either a misstep or a failure or whatever you want to call it is the end.
Right.
But if we just find a place to be still, right, and to be able to stay still and be in it, then some of the fog clears and we can see the next move.
And it makes us stronger. When we get
Totally.
back up and dust those knees off, we're in a stronger place. So I've heard you say that yoga changed your life.
It
Can
did.
you, let's start with how did yoga even find you?
Yeah, I did yoga early on, but then I've done it for like, I don't know, 20 years. But then, and I've always, my physical workouts have been important to me. It's a stress release, it strengthens me, etc. But yoga in particular, there was something about, I was going through a divorce. I had a young child. My corporate career was still moving forward, and I was feeling straight up crazy. And right, but then I happened upon a hot yoga class, and it was just by mistake because my other workout class had gotten canceled. I had missed it. So somebody said, you should go to the studio over there. They do hot yoga. And I said, okay. So I went, and all I knew is once I finished the practice, that hour, I felt better. And I was like, well, what was that? And so I started going every day. Every day at 6 a.m., I went to class. Every day. Because all
Dang.
I knew, I didn't know any of the science behind it, any of that, none of that. I didn't know any of it. All I knew is that when I finished that class, that 60-minute class, and I left the studio for at least the next 4 to 5 hours, I had a sense of grounding and peace. So I said, okay, doesn't even matter if I understand it, I'm going to do that. And I
Yes.
did it for years, every day. Even so much to the point that my teams would know, don't schedule a meeting that would conflict with that. And they're like, make sure she gets to her mat because she's a better leader when she finishes.
Okay, so what is it about hot yoga? I've never done yoga. I've
Yeah.
done yoga. I'm sorry. I've never done hot yoga. What is it about hot yoga?
For me, the room is heated, right?
Hmm.
It's like 105, 110, somewhere around there. Typically 20, 40% humidity. So it's a detox, right? Your body naturally, if you can calm your mind in the heat, your body and your body will get relaxed, your muscles will soften, so you'll be able to get deeper into the stretches. And it requires that you stay present and only connect to your breath, right? You need to be mindful about your breathing. And there's science around the power of the breath to calm your nervous system and to provide clarity. And so it's the combination of those two things that I think, again, is magic. You can do it without the heat, right? And cultivate an inner heat, right? It's called tapas, inside through your breath. But at that time, for me, for sure, the fact that there was external heat that was helping to propel my practice forward, there was something magic in that. And now that I teach, I watch others and their journey move forward. I've had 75, 80-year-old people that have never done yoga come to class, right? And meet them where they are. And they're like, what was that? And I'm like, I know.
Kim, you don't teach hot yoga though, right?
Yeah, I do.
You do. I didn't
I
know.
do.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I hear that your classes are like waiting room, like you have to close the door. They're very well attended.
Yeah, they are. But I will always say there's something about community. So there's something about having your own individual journey, working things out from the inside out, transforming from the inside out. There's this notion that the body keeps score. And so every day we have things through life that we need to work out of our body, whether it's a physical kink or some mind chatter or some stress. So people come to their mat as individuals, but they also come together as communities. And so there's a special bond that starts to happen in classes. So classes can be 30 to 50 people easily. And they're coming, I'm like, yeah, they're coming because they know the gathering is going to be. They know what's going to take
Mm.
place in that class.
So I just love yoga. My journey's been a little bit different. I've always dibbled and dabbled in it. We did take a yoga class here, a yoga class there. For a while when I was in corporate America, I did it for 3 months, like you, every single day, but it was only 3 months. Unfortunately, for me, something about my personality, I can be very consistent until I'm not. And then once I hit that something interrupts it, it's harder for me to continue. But during those 3 months, was one of the most amazing times of my life because I got to the time where I would come home and go upstairs, and before anything else, I would grab my mat. Like I had to get on the mat. And
Yes.
for me, I realized that it was the one time that the mind chatter was stopping for me. It took me a while to realize that. But having to breathe into the uncomfortableness of some of those poses or just the deep stretches, I would be so present in that moment and so focused on my body. It's like your mind, body, spirit are almost all
Yes.
together and present in that moment. It was powerful. Now I'm doing yoga once a week. I'm doing yin yoga, which I
I love
absolutely.
yin. I teach
I
yin as well.
do you? Okay.
I do.
Well, I can't get enough of it. It's so calming and relaxing. And I do it with a small group of women. Her home is absolutely beautiful. The lights are out. We have candlelight, music. It is I can't say enough about it. So it's yoga. And now I'm actually getting certified to become a yoga teacher. But
Yes.
but it was kind of accidental, Kim. I had no plans of, because again, I'm just a baby when it comes to yoga. Like I'm just doing it here and there. But the opportunity to become a teacher came across my desk, and I thought, I love learning. I cannot get enough of it. And I thought, I don't know if I'll ever teach, but I want to learn yoga because everyone thinks of it as just the asanas, the postures.
Yes. That's
It's
right.
so much more. It's a
Yes.
whole lifestyle. It's a whole philosophy. And I wanted to learn it from that level. And I have just the yamas and the niyamas. I've been doing podcast episodes and those, like the whole, I'm in for all of it.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
can't say enough about it.
Well, and there's becoming a teacher will deepen your practice, whether you teach yourself or not. It becomes this integrated way of being, right? This principle is I can just talk now, Svadhyaya, self-study, right? It becomes a deeper self-study, self-inquiry. And yin is just the counter to hot, right? Because it's not heated. You're holding the postures for 3 to 5 minutes. You're opening up the fascia, the webbing-like structure that goes around your muscles that helps to open up and unlock whatever stresses and whatever blockages may be there. And you give your mind time, space to be still and to do it in a place of safety, right? Because oftentimes most of us are just like,
Yeah.
whether we are out and about or we could be sitting at home, our minds are just like, and it's like, let it be still.
Yes. And that takes a little bit of adjustment, I think, when you first start in yoga, because I'm used to yoga where there is the constant flows. We're doing downward dog and we're moving to sun salutation. We're constantly moving. When I went to yin yoga, I was like, how long are we going to hold? It almost felt like I wanted to almost say something like, shouldn't we be moving on? Yes, I had to train myself to just surrender. Surrender is the word I'm looking for. Just surrender, trust the process, and now I can't get enough of it. And the savasana, I mean, there are blankets involved, Kim. Like
Yum.
it is so
Yummy.
good. But I will also say this, it is not easy. Now that I'm taking this yoga teacher certification, you guys make it look incredibly deceivingly simple, but there's so much going on. When you attend a yoga class that is well done, that teacher has put so much thought into it or has so much lived experience with it you have to know the cues, the modifications. You have to be teaching it, talking people through, knowing when someone needs a little bit more, a little bit less, understanding how to effortlessly go from one pose into the next, which just seems like it's natural. It's not. Knowing what pose to be in before and letting them know. It is just this beautiful. And then there's the affirmations and the mantras and the life lessons that you also bring to the class. I mean, there's so much going on, Kim. I'm so
Yeah.
intimidated by it.
No. You know what though? For sure. I when I went through teacher training and I was, auditioning and practice teaching, I was like, this is harder than grad school. It was way harder it was harder for me than grad school. There was something about moving from the seat of student to teacher. There was something about getting the words out of your mouth and not having them in your head. There's something about being present for the people that are in class, so you're watching their bodies and giving them what they need while using the traditional way of teaching and getting them into the postures as scaffolding, but really allowing the class and what the cohort needs to unfold organically. So there's all that stuff going on. It's so much harder than writing a paper or doing a PowerPoint.
It's so much more rewarding when you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to keep going. I have to teach 15 hours. I haven't done one, but that's a whole other story. Well, but, so Kim, getting back to you, sorry about the tangent, but one of the things that I really admire about you is that you didn't just choose one life. When I was in corporate America, I kind of put myself in a box. My company never asked me to do that. In fact, I think they would have loved it if I had had a whole life outside of my career. But I felt like I need to take this seriously. I made it my whole world. And I think that was my mistake. You have this beautiful life outside of your corporate career. Can you tell us a little bit about the House of Healing, where you're actually sitting right now, how that came to be? Why did you feel that this was necessary to have the second home?
Yeah, no, that's so funny. So, all along, coming out of college, when I first moved to Chicago, and I'm from Minnesota, went to school at University of Wisconsin in Madison, and then moved to Chicago. And I always wanted to live in Chicago, but I always said to friends, and this was like early 20s, I want a little house on a pond in the middle of nowhere. I want a little house on a pond in the middle of nowhere. And 10 years ago, a girlfriend of mine said, come with me. I think I found your little house on a pond. I think I found your house on a pond in the middle of nowhere. I said, what? I said, okay. So we come, and it's, depending upon where you are in Chicago, 2 hours away from downtown Chicago. And as we were driving out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is rolling hills, cows, horses, deer,
Yes.
ducks. I mean, in just 2 hours away from Chicago. And as we were driving out, I felt my stress starting to click off. Each mile that we got closer, it was falling away, right? It's pastoral, it's beautiful. And then when we got to the house, I was like, oh, I want this. And so, things fell into place, and I was able to get the house, and over the last 10 years, gut it, rehab it. It grew as my yoga practice grew. So there's a yoga studio, as you know. There's
Yes.
what we call media conference room. There's all those things because it became the retreat for me that then I wanted to make sure I shared with others. And so now it's a space where small groups of people can come, journey together, transform, detach, reconnect to their authentic self, and then re-enter back without necessarily, if you're in the Midwest area, having to get on a plane.
Okay, so I have to weigh in on this one because I have been there. I've experienced your home, and it is everything that you said. And yes, just arriving to your home is part of the journey. When Sheila and I drove out there the first time, it was exactly what you said. You watched the city landscape just kind of slowly slip, behind you into the distance. And I loved the ruralness, the country, the farmland. You honestly feel the transformation, but you're within 2 hours from the city of Chicago. There's no plane, there's no stressful airport. But
Yes.
then when you arrive, I love your home because I feel like the energy of it is so alive and it's so intentional. It doesn't feel like a house that you lived in for other purposes, like you raise kids there, you've done this, and then let me put in a yoga studio. You can tell that everything about your home, there was that intentionality behind it. Okay, I am a book nerd. I was in heaven. I've always told you this. Your home is filled with the best books. Like every title, you can see it behind you now. Every place you walk, there is a bookcase filled with the most amazing titles. When I stayed there the first night, when Sheila and I were just kind of looking at the place, trying to decide like, how could we do a retreat here? I stayed up like all night in one of your beautiful bedrooms, just going through your books, just reading. That says so much. There's a calmness. There is this beautiful media room, but it's not about the kind of home where you walk in and the TV's blaring and you have just built There's the sauna. There's the sound bowls. It's, oh, Kim, it's just without anything going on, without any programming, you naturally just decompress just being there. And then you're right there on the lake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is a gift. You know, I have oftentimes said it's this magical place, this God-given place where people get what they need. I don't know what people need when they come here. I don't know. That's not my, candidly, it's not my business. It is just it's a space. It's a special space for people to listen within and to discover their own answers.
It's so beautiful. I just highly recommend for people to consider Kim's story. That, it's almost, dare I say, it's one of those stories of you can have it all. You have checked so many boxes in life, mother, wife, corporate career, friends, life outside of it, yoga, your own. It's just a really beautiful life that you've built, and I hope that people can hear this and right size it for themselves. Not everyone can be Kim Waller, but I think everyone can really reach within and listen and slowly take these steps. It didn't happen for you overnight. These were dreams. You kind of had this idea of this house, on a pond, and you kept searching for it. You didn't let these dreams go. You didn't choose one over the other. So would you say that balance is something that we find or something that we create?
I think we create it. I think there's a couple of things. I think being intentional about what you want and what's important to you and being expansive, right? You don't have to be just one thing. We are not just one thing. Most of us are not just one thing. And so being able to allow this one life for you to explore all the multiple dimensions of who you are as an individual and what excites you and what energizes you, and knowing you might not have it all at the same time, but we got, God willing, we have big lives to live. And so it's like, yes, and yes, and yes, and yes.
Yes.
And not self-editing, right? It's all, I think about, it's summer. I think about summer camp and being able to take different electives and right, we could do
Yes.
all of those things if we're intentional about it.
I love it. I love that you said self-editing. My podcast that came out today was actually about, it was based on Satya the second,
Yes,
Yama, and about truthfulness and
yes,
not don't self-edit. We tend to do that, edit ourselves the moment we walk into a room. So I love that.
yes, yes, yes. And we know, I believe there's an inner knowing of really who we are in our totality and in our power. And at the point that we allow ourselves to self-edit and or allow others to edit for us, that's a signal that you need to start going in another direction or navigating around it. Do not let anyone or yourself put you in a box.
Yes, or yourself. Well, Kim, tell us about retirement. Tell us about this new chapter. What are we looking forward to?
Yeah, well, so again, it's like day 3. So it's super exciting. And I looked at my calendar, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be one of those obnoxious people that say, I'm busier and busier in retirement than I was when I was working. I don't know how I get a chance. That's obnoxious. But the exciting thing is that I really get to pour into the things that I'm passionate about. I really get to go deeper. I'm getting my 500-hour teacher training, so I get to go deeper into my yoga training. I'm going to be coaching in deeper levels, mind, body, spirit, not just executive coaching, but the whole being, right? And so I get to double down on that. I love tennis. I'm going to play more tennis, right? I get to focus on that. And even more importantly, I get to spend quality time with family and friends. And so I'm driven by work. I will always work in some way, shape, or form. I love working. It is just the time. So I continue to say to myself, your schedule is your own. Whatever you put on it is only because you decided to put it on there. So yeah, I'm excited. Again, it's just another chapter to explore the totality of the big lives that we all have an opportunity to live.
Do you have any rest built in there?
That is my challenge. That and my
Okay.
close friends have said, can you just rest for a little bit? Just rest. So yes, I'm going to learn what it means to. I'm an early riser. I normally wake up at 4:30. I do my prayer and meditation every morning, so that's not going to change. But maybe I'll do that workout, and maybe I'll come back and take a nap. I don't know.
And see, in human design, Kim, so I know we don't know your exact time of birth. So I
Yes.
didn't want to necessarily bring it up because the timing in human design is so important. It can change if it's just a little bit off. But
I'm going to find it and send it to you because I want to
okay.
refine and spend more time with you on that.
Yes, I would love it because right now when I put in 12 new, which you can do, and sometimes it's right, it has you as a generator, which you definitely feel like a generator because as a generator, when you're doing things that you love, that battery is constantly recharging. You have more energy for it, and I can absolutely see that. But I will say the one thing with your human design, regardless of what time of day you were born, your authority is always emotional. So you, I believe, I can say, are definitely an emotional authority. So am I. All that means, Kim, is that there's no clarity for us in the present moment. We're very emotional beings, and we need to ride what they call an emotional wave. So when something happens and they say there's this new home, and you walk into the lake house and you think, oh, I love it. You don't necessarily want to make a decision when you're on that high. And you don't really want to make a decision when you're at a low. It's like if you think about a wave crashing on the beach, you want it to neutralize. And what we have to do is we have to just keep checking back in. Okay, it's been now 2 days since I saw the lake house. Is it still feel like a yes? And if you still, after the motion, after you're at that place of neutrality, if it continues to feel like a consistent yes, then it more than likely is a yes for us. So I'm just curious. Does any of that? I mean, it may not be right because we don't know your time of birth.
You
But
know
does
what?
that resonate?
I will say that I I will go with my intuition. I will go with my gut. I will go with my energy. I will go with it. I will.
There you go.
And I will do my data gathering, but at the end of the day, if in my spirit it feels right, then I'm moving on it. If in my spirit it says no, I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care who they are. I'm not doing it. Right?
Yes.
So yeah, that inner and I can become really clear and focused and analytical under times of stress. But if it's something that's heart centered, something that is this something that I really want to do that's super important to me, then I'm going with my intuition. With people, with decisions, with career change, all of it, I'm going with what is my heart saying? What is my
Yes.
spirit saying?
Your body holds the answers. I love that. Always
Totally.
trust it.
Totally.
Well, Kim, before we get into our speed round, is there anything that we have not discussed that you would love to share with the people listening?
Yeah, I always think about just the importance of self-care and the importance of creating space for ourselves to really do the work that we need to do as we've defined it to be our best selves. So for other people, it may be something else other than yoga, but whatever it is, really be intentional about creating space for yourself. Because unless you pour into yourself, you can't give to others. And sometimes we put ourselves in a position where we're giving everything to our corporate career, we're giving everything to our kids, we're giving everything to, right? And depleting our own well-being, our own energy, and then we're not bringing our best selves to whatever it is that we've decided was important.
That's why I'm bringing selfish back. I'm reclaiming that
Yeah,
word. I want women to unapologetically always put themselves first. We are
yeah,
conditioned to believe that that's wrong, that you should put other. You cannot give from a cup that my cup when I was in corporate America was so dry and crusty at the bottom. You can't give
yeah,
from that place. You need to give from overflow. So yes, and
yeah,
you are a prime example of someone who fills her cup first and gives from that place.
yes. I tried. I tried.
So, Kim, what makes you come alive?
Family,
Mm.
family and friends, family, friends, and community. Yeah.
What is a song that instantly shifts your energy or makes you feel something?
Amazing Grace.
Oh, can you sing?
No, I wish I
Okay.
could.
I'll take a picture.
Yes, I wish I could.
What is a book? that cracked you open or stayed with you long after the last page?
Uh, Honestly, The Alchemist. I love The Alchemist.
Yes.
I love The Alchemist. I love The
Yes.
Alchemist and the Bible. I love The Alchemist and the Bible.
Mm.
Yes.
And The Alchemist is one of those you have to read like at least once a decade. It's
Right?
just, you have to. It's such a beautiful story.
And that inner knowing that, love.
Everything you have is right here. You go on these
Yeah.
long journeys, search for it's right there.
Yes.
Your favorite little indulgence or guilty pleasure?
French fries, they're terrible for you.
What? Kim, I love that. I thought you were going to say dark chocolate with like sea salt and caramel or something,
Oh,
but
that too, but no. If on a day where I've had a day and I'm like, I think I want to treat myself, I'm going to
yes.
find some French fries. I am.
Okay. Can I ask, are we talking McDonald's?
We really are.
Yeah, they're evil. They are evil. I say no every time, but they have chemically manufactured them where you cannot not.
It's terrible, but
It's terrible.
one thing.
Okay, so you're human. I feel a little better. All right. What is one thing that always reminds you how beautiful life really is?
When I look at and I think about my son, honestly, being a mother, hands down, the best, most amazing thing that has ever happened in my life.
And how old is he now?
30.
Woo! Yeah, that doesn't seem possible.
Yes.
Well, there's something on my show that I do where I share these little love notes because I like putting out into the world what I want to see. And I love women loving on each other. And so I just want to share a love note with you from a previous guest. This one comes from Angela Burke. She's the founder of Real Girl's Guide to Midlife and author of the book by the same name. And Angela's note is simple. If you're going to take a risk in life, always bet on yourself. What comes up for you when you hear that, Kim?
I think that is exactly right. I think, trust that you have, again, going back to the outcome, trust that you have what you need and that it is your life to live and go for it. I mean, it is one life. It is one life. And it is the thing that drives me every day. What if this was your last day? What if you only had 5 more hours? What if you only had 5 more days? What would you do? Right? What's really important to you? Do that. And make sure that you love the people that you love and they know that that you love them.
Yes. I love that. Well, Kim, how would you like listeners to stay connected with you?
Yeah, I would say please reach out to me on LinkedIn, and there's going to be more that's going to be coming forth related to the Meridian Path Consulting Group and the Inner Path one-on-one coaching. So I'll make sure that that's out there for the people to connect to me.
Wonderful. Kim, thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your heart with us today. And for the listeners listening, until next time, keep getting high on life, one beautiful fix at a time. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to A Beautiful Fix. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a quick review to help others find us. And if you'd like to share your own beautiful fix or join me as a guest, reach out anytime at Tracy@abeautifulfix.com. Looking forward to next time.